Who the fuck we waiting on? Hit this shit.
Just one game, Saints and Titans.
Them niggas got 26 minutes. Don't worry.
Ain't nobody say shit?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, he on.
Dangerous Colts in advance.
Two-step Texans. Browns. Sidestep Cowboys.
Sidestep Cowboys.
You hit. You get the trauma. Let's go. Come around.
Eagles.
What up, gangsta? Man, that's the great May on the vest. The niggas quick, height, faster than they can result.
I can't get
I
nothing
launch
but to the
faggots.
fuck.
I don't run too many plays. I just launch pad far.
Not my homies.
I take the plays and do it to the you. Who the fuck? You bomb
Who the
like who?
fuck is you? Now to
The
cat.
NFC East is 6 and 7. We won't make it. What's up, fellas? Sunday, you know, I'm talking about this game. First of all, how far are we away from you can't play your game or schedule it? Aren't we close to that?
What up?
Aren't we absolutely close to that?
Yep.
So what games is on the docket? Get your ass out of there. What games is on the docket that ain't been scheduled or played yet?
That matter or just period?
Just the Saints and
That matter.
Titans.
The game that matters. There's week
Saints and
13
Titans.
chicken. Jonathan Coachman. Marvin Harrison Jr. comes up with a big reception for 71 yards. The defense went in and silenced the crowd with turnovers after turnover. Houston over Jacksonville. A deal is very close between the Colts and the Chiefs involving linebacker rumors. KJ Jefferson is putting on a show. Okay, KJ. 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 Bucky Brooks didn't know it was mathematically possible for more than one team to be undefeated now. Math was never my thing. The Lions had design on perfection, but it wasn't to be. Los Angeles had Detroit rattled as they gifted 5 turnovers to the home team. I don't know about rattled, but bet the Lions have seen enough of Davis Richards. Sharing is coming. Trey Palmer gives some TDs to your receiving brethren next time. Come on, Buck. You keep saying that shit every time somebody do something. Big one for Mike Tillman today. Okay, Coach Mike Tillman. It was all 49ers in this one. That's a big letdown by hitting losing that 49ers game. We're going to talk about it, man, on today's episode, Shooters and Steppers. We will be talking about everything that matters. You know what I'm talking about? Damn. I just think the NFC East can't nobody get it figured out over there, man. They just all just. Malik Murphy is seeing the entire field right now. What a performance. Malik Murphy just dropped that in over two Commanders defenders. It has to be hard to allow, no idea what that's, one man to score 4 touchdowns, so kudos on allowing that one. Commanders, who the fuck they let score? Running back? I'm assuming it was the running back. Not many can lay claim to a better game than the one Chris Marshall had today with 530 receiving yards. That shit ridiculous. I know Nano was like, I know Nano was like, man, this motherfucker, you fucking, what we call that, man? I mean, we talked about Chris Marshall being in the ram of, one of those steppers. He's just, the quarterback's the shooter and he's the stepper. But like 530 yards on a human. How many of those was in play catches? Or was they up top, like you call them, up top shorty? What if I just blow all y'all shit and change the speed threshold back to normal and then stop all that shit? What y'all gonna do then? That's twice I
Shit.
said this already. What y'all gonna do now?
Shit.
What we gonna do then?
Quit.
What the fuck we gonna do then?
I'm get ready for 24.
What the fuck are we gonna do then?
But you know what though? The launch pads don't name a launch pad that's won something.
That's in the topic today, man. Launch padders that win. We got 2 of them undefeated right now. Listen, Love watched Chris Marshall today. He showed great fight getting. Type his name in again. What is he? Up top shorty. He not burning nobody. He going over and get. You just 11 o'clock high passing niggas. That's all. He have no speed demons. He don't need it. He just 11 o'clock high passing nigga. Not about. Tell him Tymon, they don't got nobody over top of him. We 11 o'clock high passing nigga. Then wait from a 50-50, 11 o'clock, hit the high pass and glitchy. I'm on my hating shit today, man. Like, let me stop playing with these niggas. All right, man. Bucky Brooks, great day for Ty Simpson. He threw for 609 yards. Was that in Baltimore or was that in dirty ass Ohio?
Wait. So, out of 609 yards, 530 of them went to Chris Marshall.
Yep. Every time Nano gave him cover 4 or cover 1, anything that was one-on-one over there, and he ain't got to run by you. He just need an 11 o'clock angle, high pass, and go get that bitch.
I ain't gonna lie, Nano should fire his defensive coordinator and trade his #1 corner.
That was in Baltimore.
They did that shit. Lamar Jackson, what a play. How about the new Seahawks user, man? He's been quiet. We don't really know much about him, but I've got reports back that this guy can play the game, man.
He beat the Browns.
Making something out of nothing. DK Metcalf breaks away for an 80-yard play. DK, okay. Not a loss between these two teams, but someone's going home disappointed. Yep, that's the only the NFC side of things have undefeated teams right now. I had a vision or a dream or bad claims, whatever. Point is, I feel like an 80-yard touchdown is going to win this thing. Clash of the Titans between the Rams and the Lions. Hashtag can't wait. He buttballed me. I had 4 throws out of sack picks. Oh, shit. Can't help but wonder if the Raiders end up with a new head coach if the season finishes as expected. Stanley on the hot seat. I don't think the Raiders coach is the only coach on the hot seat. Is this the end of Priester in Jacksonville? More than one source says maybe. You got guys get fired right now. I don't get why some Seattle fans want a new head coach. Firing Kyle Shanahan seems premature. He shouldn't even be in the league, Kyle Shanahan, but okay.
Bears on the hot seat.
Bears on the hot seat have to be a great athlete to be an NFL to get moved to middle linebacker. No, it's not. He's a new NFL, old NFL. 2,000 yards is a big deal. Great season for B. John Robinson. Got a feeling about the Saints this week. What do you got the feeling about the Saints this week? Is that game being active? Let's get to the schedule for a second. And let's not act like we gonna sit here all night on a Sunday. Jets,
Saints and
Patriots,
Patriots left on
none.
pace to
Packers,
2-1
Bears.
Money Gate Haunt Me Low.
McCoy, you giving the Packers the win 50-50? What we got going on over here? Bills, Giants. What's going on in that game? Broncos, Chargers. Chargers get the force. Titans, Saints still ain't active. How much time we got left before I start hitting shit on niggas?
15 minutes.
Somebody better hit Brandon up. And
We playing at
somebody
8
better
if it's
hit
cool.
Brandon. We playing at 8 if it's cool.
Feeling like winners. Now, we're all feasting on our friends.
Well, how about we play it like this, man? Depending on what time this Titans Jets game kick off, they do have till 7:30 or is it 8? 7:30 to tell us the time. And if they play, then that's fine, bro. Like that's fine. Not going to negate you from playing a game when you play your games. You know what I'm talking about? Like, so if the Packers and you are going to kick off at 8, hey, it is what it is. But Jets Patriots, haven't heard anything there, and I know Hoodie's been having
If not, it don't matter.
connection problems.
I need some cap though.
You need some cap though. Need some cap space,
I'll do whatever for the league.
my nigga. Now, would you do forever for the league, or would you do whatever for that cap space? Which one is it? Which one is it, McCoy? Which one is it?
Ball.
All right, so I suggest anybody that got the Gort alert from my squad, please Gort the Titans and the Saints and tell them they need to get shit popping before they be decided by us. Both, my nigga, I got you. Honest McCoy. You know what I'm talking about? All right. So far, where do we go today, man? We got a long show, man. Nice conversation to have. Got a lot of things to talk about, man.
Man, it's wherever, man. I think we need to talk about, you know, divisions and the makeup of divisions and how all that shaked out, man. I think that's big. It's a big story. Big storyline for 23 and possibly 24.
All right, then let's head right to our top tens for right now, man. Here we go. All right, so the Saints are 12-0, 649 points scored. They give up 300 points. They're on a 12-game winning streak right now. Chiefs are 12-1 at number 2, and they have 520 points. Only give up 200 on the year. Lions 12-1. Lions just taking a loss in week 13. They're sitting at 12-1. And remember, until we advance, these standings aren't accurate because they haven't calculated this week's plan. As you can see, the Rams are sitting at 4 with 13-0.
Rams should be number one team in the league.
I agree.
Strength of schedule.
Strength of
Strength
schedule.
should matter, man.
The Buccaneers are number 5 at 10-3. Texans are number 6 at 10-3, and that's a big time matchup for both teams at advance. Bucks,
Who?
Texans.
You play the Texans?
I play the Bucks. Yep.
Oh, you play the Bucks. Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Again. I mean, we'll see if that third place schedule that the Bucks had this year is that the reason why he's having a good year, or is he really a dog?
Then you got the Chargers sitting at number 7 at 9-3 on a 1-game losing streak right now. The Browns
That's
just
the donut. What happened with that?
we got a couple of donuts popped off.
No, what happened? Seriously, what happened with that? Mac, the Chiefs donutted him, or like the game dropped or something? No.
We'll get into
Only
that.
played the half.
You only played a half of football. Browns at 9-4, and they on a 2-game winning streak. And the Titans are on a 2-game losing streak, sitting at 8-4 at 9. Now, D West snuck his ass in the mix at 7-6, but you also had the Patriots 7-5, Ravens 7-6, Niners 8-5. So I think the number 10 spot will change. Panthers at 7-6. With that being said, before I come back to the standings, let's get to the NFL 2027 playoff tree, just to give a look at where we at right now. If you take a look, and again, if the playoffs would start today, you have some teams that are still in the playoffs that should probably drop out of the top 14 list right now. But the Saints and the Chiefs on either side, NFC and AFC, Chiefs with 1 loss, Saints with no losses, are sitting at 1. Chiefs are at 1 as well. They'll have to bye throughout the playoffs if this was to stand that way. Now, the Rams are going to be in question because they just played each other with the Rams winning that ball game. So that should catapult the Rams to the number 1 spot and the Saints to the number 2 spot. both those two teams being undefeated coming down the stretch. But right now, if the playoffs were to start, those Carolina Panthers cannot seem to be able to escape the Lions when it comes down to the playoffs. And they'll be the number 7 seed as of right now. And I don't think that shit will stay the same. A couple teams lost that are in front of them right now. So it all depends on what goes on after we advance as well. But the Rams are the 3rd seed in the NFC, and they'll be playing the 49ers in the 6th seed. And 49ers went from 7 to 6, and they just won a big time game over the Washington Commanders, who are right now currently in first place in the NFC East right now, and they're the 4th seed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being the number 2 seed in the AFC South. I mean NFC South, and they're the number 5 seed right now. So if the playoffs were to start today, our first matchups in the wild card round would be Lions, Panthers, 2 versus 7, Rams, Niners, 3 versus 6, Commanders, Buccaneers, 4 versus 5. On the AFC side, the
Commanders
Kansas City Chiefs hold that number 1 spot down right now. All right,
medium long
so
spin 10.
he talking about Commanders here, boy. Rob, you ain't slick, nigga. Your energy is happy. You won that Miami game, and
Rob over
you
there
know,
plotting.
he know
Come on,
that
hitter.
he controls his destiny right now.
Come on, hitter.
My boy Rob ain't slick talking about Commanders. My boy, yeah, he in his mind, he don't lose NFC East games. So in his mind, he's right back in the mix to be the 4th seed in the playoffs. Okay, Rockin' Robbie. All right, but anyway, you got the Cincinnati Bengals, dirty ass Ohio with the 7th seed. It looks like they'll remain there as well because the Ravens took a loss. So I don't know if that changes anything. But the Texans have the number 2 seed. They'll be playing the Bengals again if the playoffs start today. Browns are at 3. They'll be playing the number 6 seed Tennessee Titans, and then the Patriots versus the number 5 seed Chargers. Let me ask you, Max, wasn't this the exact picture last year?
Yep. 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 Yep.
All right, so what does that mean to you, Falk? That 2 years in a row, the AFC picture is the exact same.
Um, that the AFC is top heavy. Um, pretty
Minus
much
the
it has
Eagles.
a lot of the guys that's at the top is positioning themselves to be where they're going to be year in and year out. You got the Chiefs at the top, Titans not number 2, the Chargers at 5 or 5, um, and then the AFC East, depending on who the internet.
MPM I'm tripping
Um,
Henny in my cup.
that's pretty much it.
Mm.
And then we have the emergence of the dirty Ohio teams and the Bengals and the Browns right
But they
now.
they're going to lose first round. Time on to give you a little run, but Bengals first round exit. Titans, they might get in at the 6, 7 seed, but when the last time the Titans had a big win?
Hey, god damn it. It's been a while.
Mm.
It's been a while. You two fuckers get
Prolific
out my face.
offense, prolific offense, but
You know what blow my shit about the Tennessee Titans? Because they got a fucking football team over there, bro. They did a really good job GMing and managing that team over there. And let's just be real, man. They got a solid defense. They can get to the quarterback. They can stop the run. Great linebackers play. And in their secondary, they got some legit players in that secondary. Khalid Downs is an underrated dog. Let me ask you, Max. You got one of the better safeties to come out of the draft over the last couple of years, right? But Caleb Downs was the talk of the town, was the talk of the NFL coming into from college to the NFL. What do you feel about Khalid? You think that he's been quiet?
Um, I just think, I mean, he hasn't been necessarily quiet. I would say the overall impact just doesn't hit the same as like um, out that same class like Starks to me. I think he performs well, but just like the impact overall. Like I can say Malachi has won me games flat out. So I just think when it gets down to like that is why it hasn't been able to carry dividends post draft.
Now, Khalid Downs is not even the number one safety on their roster. The my player, Makai Gilchrist is actually a guy back over there for the Tennessee Titans, though. But the Patriots, the one thing the Patriots in this year's playoffs, they can get that. All they gotta do is hard reset their roster and then stop dropping. I told him that a million times. Don't think he's listened to me yet. Um, when your game drops at the same time, like it drops like that, that means your roster depth chart is fucked up. That means you got guys reading on a roster in the same spot. So, for example, you might got a corner playing out at the number one corner, but he's also on the slot. So when you go to formation subs, you can see that, but you got a hard set at formation subs and hard set at adjust lineup. So if you do that, it'll reset your roster for you and it'll take all those guys out of position, put them in position. See, a lot of guys like to put their number one corners at slot corner or their number one receiver at slot receiver. And as the roster start to progress, things like this start to happen. We've been dealing with it since 22. I mean, let's just call it what it is. 21 actually, where this is some shit Madden doesn't fix themselves because they don't understand it because 9 out of 10 people ain't going to report that, right? That's not a mutt thing or something that'll make them really, report that shit. So, but anyway, fix your roster. But here's the thing, though. Is Hoodie in a better spot in the playoffs? Again, we're banking on his games not dropping and he gets the issue fixed. But if he in a better spot in the playoff picture right now with an X Factor quarterback, he got a diaper dandy who went from superstar to X Factor during the season. And this would be the first time the New England Patriots have had a superstar at the quarterback position. Does that change things?
I think so.
Um,
I mean, he done had like 20 restarts, so if he could get that together, he's a good user. Some would say argue he's in the top five in users in the league, but he's only played 2 games this season or something like that, some crazy stat. So I mean, for somebody only play 2 or 3 games or complete 2 to 3 games rather, and still have a winning record, I need the AFC East to get it together.
Thinking about the AFCs, let's start with the AFC North. Falk said he wanted to step into the Steppers. And the Steppers is AFC North. Let's talk about that division first as a whole. So the Browns are on top by 2 game lead right now, sitting at 9-4. Bengals are 7-6. So are the Baltimore Ravens, sitting at 7-6. So both of those two teams, as of right now, are still fighting for that 7th seed. Steelers are sitting at 3-10. Steelers has won 3 more games this year, and I think it's still a step in the right direction for Bo. Um, he had a really good draft. Got some big time names out of the draft that are playing really well for him. But when it comes down to the top three in this division, Browns, Bengals, Ravens, is it starting to seem like young Tymon and that Cleveland Browns roster is starting to take over the AFC North?
Yeah, he's starting to separate himself as a coach, as a user. Um, I'm really gonna give the Ravens a pass on a standpoint. This is probably their first season playing in 6 7 months, so they're still for them to be 7-6 is impressive in my opinion. Um, and then the Bengals, like I said, they got to get an identity, man. They haven't had an identity in several years, and it's showing. So I think Tom Allen is starting to separate himself as the best player in that division. It's starting to show.
Yes, sir. All right, we get to the AFC South, and you got the Texans and the Titans. Colts are at 4-9, Jaguars are at 2-11, and it's a 1 game lead right now for the AFC South, with the Texans being 10-3 over top of the Titans. That's 8-4. They do play each other one more time this season. Um, but this is a clear cut Texans division. They haven't
Yeah,
lost a
I
division
think
since
nobody.
year
I think
one.
I don't think the Texans is really worried about anybody over here. I think the Texans is right now is just it's just a tough schedule, man. Like I mean, who hasn't they played? They just have a tough schedule, and even in that, they're still.
Their 3 losses being the Rams, the Saints, and the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, who hasn't Texas played? So I think that the Texans are not really worried about the Titans. We'll see how this game goes. If it get played or if it's equal sim, I'm not sure. Um, but I think this is the Texans division.
All right, so we slide to the AFC East, and this division is like the weirdest division. It went from like one of the better divisions to like the weirdest division. You got the Patriots sitting at 7-5, Dolphins are 6-7, Jets 4-8, Bills are 4-8. Now the conversation always is going to be, and it might sound like we always getting on him and all that, but like you got to talk about the Dolphins and like where they were to where they are. That shit matters.
Right? It does.
This should be his shit. Look at this. It's year three.
I mean, he had plenty of
Hoodie,
time for the
hoodie.
reset of the roster, right? I mean, got rid of Bryce
That's what I'm
Young,
saying.
things
It's
went
year
south.
three. Hoodie struggling to get a full game play and yet still winning the division.
That's harsh, man. So let's talk about, and I'll go to you first, Fault, with this. The GM of the Miami Dolphins. Will he go down in history as the worst decision maker to bend the team? Like you came in with gold, with fool's gold, and then you turned that shit into silver.
I See. This is where it's tough for me at, and I'm gonna just lay it all out on the table. Right now, it's looking that way, but is it really? Right now, it's looking that way. It's looking like he got rid of a quarterback he shouldn't have, and then he's just been struggling since. Right? But did he have fool's gold to begin with the team he had? Like, in the beginning, the Dolphins were a legit Super Bowl contender with Ramsey and,
Hmm.
Reek and in my opinion, he didn't get rid of those pieces while they still had value. I think after year two, he should have just really just kind of reset with those guys. I think he kept Reek a year too long. Can't
Reek
remember
Reek's
what
still on the
he.
roster until he
Yeah,
retired.
I think he kept him a little too long. We could have got some value from him after year two, and I think after year one, he should have looked to move Ramsey and get high value for him and get younger. Right now, it's looking like he made the worst GM move, but I think in reality, I think it's not, but it's just looking that way. Unfortunately, it's a narrative I don't think he's going to change unless he could somehow, some way make the playoffs and win a game or two to kind of change that with Almaliva. But right now, it's looking that way, but sometimes looks are deceiving.
Mhm. So, what do you think, Max?
Um, nah, I think he committed franchise suicide. And this is why I'll say that. When I look at players on a timetable, right? When players come into the league year one, first round or not, they have 2 years for me till you figure out if you should be moving them, losing them,
Mm,
or trying to groove with them. So
mm,
what I mean is,
Bars.
if you gonna move them,
mm.
then you see by that when that shit says year three, exp3, you either need to be looking at, because you can't see how much he's signing for, so you're taking a chance next year regardless. You need to see if you're doing well with your players. I can't speak for everybody, so you taking a chance regardless. Start moving them, bang. Secondly, if you're losing them, you just know it's a player that you're just gonna let sit, so you're not even thinking about it. You're damn near looking to replace that position in this year's draft or next year's draft, because you don't necessarily want to always replace as they're leaving, because there's no bridge gap, there's no bridge player development, nothing like that. You just either you're lining your next rookie up to be either thrown in the fire or sitting a year and wasting a year of experience. That's the thing about redshirting a player. You don't know about that whole year. And then grooving with them, if you look at the first 2 years and you did something good and productive, you bet on yourself and bet on that player and be like, all right, you can be part of the future. Now, that's for rookies, but when you look at your team, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Ramsey, Javon Holland, um, Jalen Phillips, Waddle, those guys that are already there, you got to prioritize the move, lose the groove ASAP. And he kind of like forced the Bryce Young situation when Bryce Young had a 5th year and was grooving. Like to me, I felt like there was no option to move, lose when you were grooving. Like if anything else, there's certain positions, especially if you're going to go there repetitively and draft receivers every year. You're not betting on, like when I say bet on your receivers or bet on your draft picks, you're not betting on any of your draft picks. So you're keeping receivers and deciding to groove and keep grooving with Waddle, Tyreek, etc. So like now you're making a sacrifice thing happen, and you chose kind of, to me, not even kind of, you chose the absolute wrong piece to sacrifice. Like, because now 3 years later, while everybody's found out who they're grooving with, you got to reestablish the whole move, groove, and lose process with a quarterback, new receivers now, a new cornerback situation, and you didn't get on top of anything. You know how they say sometimes it's better to be proactive than reactive? He was reactive on every single thing on his roster, i.e.,
I agree, but I'll ask you this, Snake, if you still here on too. I'll ask you this though: how though? How can a person? You see guys make trades all the time. I'm a big trader. I'll trade for picks and get players out the draft, vice versa. Snake's a big trader. How can you get rid of or lose a Holland, Ramsey, Bryce Young, and then it all goes to shit and you can't rebound from it? How? Like, what does that say about the user?
that's why I said you was reactive. You didn't like Ramsey, you traded, but to me, like Fox said, didn't capitalize. So you shot yourself in the foot there. You never capitalized on Tyreek, so it's like you half-assed the blow-up process. Because if you're gonna give up Ramsey, as crazy as it sounds, I'd rather you just commit and just give up Tyreek, give up X, give up Y, give up like, or if you're gonna keep Tyreek and you know you're gonna keep Tyreek until he retires, prioritize. I give up Waddle and go draft somebody else, because you got to start looking at now like capitalization. And I just feel like you never capitalized. Javon Holland, to let him walk to free agency was wild.
So far, what does that say about the coaching staff over there in Miami? That the same guys that they was constantly beating in year one, two, and going into three are the same guys that they playing. It's not the same. You're playing the same coaches and practically the same teams. Where did the switch go off at? Where you're 6-7 now versus you being 10 wins at this point right now? Like, year one, year two, they were the hot topic of the league, and then
I
all
think
of a sudden you make some bad decisions and trading and moving, losing pieces, and then you're just your afterthought right now.
yeah,
How?
football is a sport of you got to have the right players, the right dogs at the right positions. And unfortunately, the Dolphins traded a key position on a football team, and he kind of was lost for a year or two, right? And then when he got a quarterback, he was just too young, and the league was already developed, and he came in with a dog. He got rid of the dog, and now teams have gotten better. Teams have caught up, and now struggling going on. And football is one of those sports where you just gotta have the right dogs, the right players at them certain positions. And unfortunately, he traded one away for whatever reason. Only he would know the reasoning. But I think that was a critical error. Critical. Like,
Was that an arrogant move on his staff to say we don't need a Bryce Young? He ain't that good. It's our system that's
I,
making
I, I
Bryce Young.
think I think if you go get somebody better at that exact time, yes. But remember, they just lucked up and got Amaliva like 2 years later. You know, um, at first they were struggling, like they had some bums. So I think they traded him and they ain't have a plan. in my opinion. They traded him. They didn't have a plan. Or maybe they did. Just we'll never know where
I
they
mean,
end
I
up.
thought the plan was I could make any quarterback great.
Yeah, well, I think we've seen that's not the case. Because year one, year two, I mean, the Dolphins was, I think Bryce Young was MVP year one, right?
I think one
I
of them
think
years he was the MVP one of them years. I think it was the
Yeah,
second
year
year,
second
honestly,
year
but
before he traded him.
yeah, I think it was.
yeah.
I
So
think.
year two, he
Hmm.
was the MVP, right? Year two, he was the MVP. Waddle and Reek was just like, and it wasn't no launch pad at the time. Like he wasn't just like if he was beating you deep, he was beating you deep. It wasn't no
Hmm.
just okay. He wasn't doing what some folks in the league do. Like Reek was just that much better
He was dotting the
than
field, bro. When he had
yeah,
Bryce, he was
yeah.
dotting the field. Like he had that high pass to the tight end you couldn't stop, and he wide on reach, did everything, crossing routes, slants,
Yeah,
drags,
I think it was
bump.
arrogance, and I think their franchise haven't recovered. And quite honestly, the GM deserves to be fired at this point in time. The GM deserves to be fired. So, hopefully it's a learning lesson for him. Yo, fellas.
I'm here. We here.
Yeah, hopefully it's a learning lesson for him.
Yeah, I mean the thing is though, when
I
you
mean,
go
he might
back
not
and
learn
look,
this.
I was about to
He
say
might
when
not
you
learn
go
this.
back and just look at this whole like this in both leagues, I feel like it's just his overall seasons has been defined by
Trades.
mm, trades, not even gameplay, not even wins and losses, and just trades, bad
But
trades.
again, I guess I don't. I might not be asking this question the right way. But what does that say about the staff? Like to make a bad trade and not be able to recover from it. We saw him go
They're
from
they were overconfident. That's what they say. They say they were overconfident. They hedged their bets that they could develop anybody, any Tom, Joe or Larry off the street, and they proved that ain't the case.
oh, man. All right, another person that etched their fruit of their laurels on success from 22 and beef amongst other coaches in the league. We go to the AFC West, and the Chargers declare war on the Chiefs the moment we started RDL, and he asked the Chiefs to follow him. I'm going whatever division you go in, I'm going in. And we built one of the best rivalries we've ever had in our leagues over the from Madden 17 to where we at right now. This was one of the best, most intriguing stories to talk about. Again, we deemed love that song, play that thing, man.
Fuck Jay Z.
You
We
love my
named
dick. You love my style, huh?
a game after these two players, right? And we're gonna talk about the user that got the Chiefs
You lost a
and
record.
Max, and the user that got the Chargers and Craig. And we dubbed this game the Broom
I'm
Game.
positive.
Now,
Ain't no
before
best.
we get into the do's, the don'ts, the what's, and the whys, we have to talk about the history of this matchup. All right, 22, the Chargers were the most successful team as the Bucks user in Madden 22. Won multiple Super Bowls. Um, Fast forward to 23 and real draft, he upped the ante and challenged the Chiefs to join his division. In year one, the Chargers swept the Chiefs and won the Super Bowl. In year two, the Chiefs returned the favor and swept the Chargers and won the Super Bowl. And we'll stop right there, just right there. And since we do have Max on right now, I want to talk about the first year and losing those 3 games to the Chargers. Mindset. Talk to me why. If you can go back to and your memory box and talk about how you felt through those first 3 games. You can't voice chat with Cipher. All right, we always for Max to come back on. But the question is, I want to know through the matter of fact, Falk, you understood those first games because I remember when you talked about it. You said the Chargers actually barely beat the Chiefs in those 3 matchups.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, watching those games because they were very hyped, very publicized, and people wanted to
Reset.
see it. People
Storming.
wanted to see, when you got two dogs going against each other, who gonna come out on top. So people tuned in, and I would say the difference was in those 2 out of the 3 games, maybe all three. I can't remember. It's been a couple seasons, but Joey Bosa.
Yeah, Joey Bosa was a
Like
problem year one.
he couldn't be blocked. Guys just didn't have the dogs up front at the time to block him, and Bosa kind of turned those games around in the Charger favor. With him being able to eke out wins. When I say eke out wins, I mean like, one possession here, one possession there, those type games. But in my opinion, Bosa was the difference. And then once you saw the adjustment being made, you saw, you know, the results.
Listen, I appreciate anybody that takes their time out to run a league, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's what separates our league. Here's what separates Madden Franchise Junkies, the brand, from a lot of franchises. And it's the users, and it's the in-depth uh, reality of guys attacking their team and uh, putting a real life spin on their team and turning a fantasy world into a reality for them, right? And I say that because you got to dig deep, right? This ain't just all right. I got the Chargers, you got the Chiefs. It is what it is. Da da da. Like guys literally calculate how they're gonna make moves, how they do things, and I always say you win, you build the win in your division to win outside of it. Things like all those things come to the front of everything when you talk about a mad franchise junkie league and the depth that guys will go to for the competition.
Right.
And I think that separates us, from a lot of leagues. Guys care. Guys really take on the responsibility of the owner, coach, GM, player.
Mm-hmm.
And we go to fuck hard, right? Like we really have a reality show in our within the confines of our league. Like our league is must see TV, and guys really attack it as if they are the owners of these teams, or they are the coaches or the GMs or the players. You don't get storylines the way you get them from us. Like the way we talk about the players that come out of our draft and the stat lines and how guys are. Like this is almost like ESPN, NFL Network, virtual football.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes our reality. It becomes more than just our free time and our hobby. And I think these two coaches exhibit that. And I think, confidence, arrogance, and cockiness is a thin line between the three.
Facts.
Year one, a lot of guys can understand why I would not call the Chiefs a Super Bowl or bust team. If it was real life, I would call them a Super Bowl or bust team. But I had a method on why I said they wasn't like it's a difference between everybody coming in the dish 23 and wanting the Chiefs or wanting the Eagles. Well, they played in the Super Bowl. Of course, everybody was looking at them as the hot teams, right? But you know as well as I know, if you pick a team to play in the league, there are Madden teams and they are just good overall teams. Remember how I used to always say the Ravens aren't that good of a roster for Madden. You got to build it. They got the pieces, but you got to build it, right? And then we'll look at like a team like the Jets will be a hot team, and for most people to get is because it's a Madden roster, right? And I think that was uh, my reason why I would say the Chiefs wasn't a Super Bowl or bust team, but
Right.
I called the Chargers a Super Bowl or bust team.
Right.
And again, it was for Madden reasons. When you take a team that has the most ability players on that team in the league, that's a Madden team. That's a Super Bowl or bust team because what separates teams? Not the overalls. It's the awareness, play rec, and it's the abilities that separate teams. Now, now that we got you back, Max, year one, and those three losses to the Chiefs, I mean Chargers, could you remember those three losses, like the scores or how close it was, or how
Four point.
take us how you felt through those losses?
I want to say it was 4 point, 3 point, and 7 in the playoffs. I don't. It could have been 3.4 point. I remember the playoffs was seventh. Um, the first regular season was, early week 3, week 4. Um, finding out the kinks, finding out the pieces. Um, particularly, particularly outmatched at the D line position, but not necessarily running the ball, passing the ball. We had the Pacheco off the sim season go to superstars, so we had to figure out the receivers more so than anything because we had the draft. We had Bryce Ford, and um, we were just trying to figure out our weapons. Had Kelsey on his last year, superstar. Um, Linemen that the Chiefs invested in. We were a young team at some point, so in real life, that's just the Chiefs. So just kind of perking out and seeing the edits from the first year players in the sim season, and then kind of seeing where we're at. I didn't say we really felt about grounded until about week 10, week 12. Then so that first game, I think we really just lost due to just kind of figuring shit out. But Bosa was evident in that first game, but it wasn't as bad as the second game where we got into a groove and a rhythm, and really just not having an answer for Bosa. I remember the second game, I threw like 3 or 4 picks, lost by 3, and just was sitting there like, all right, well, I did see some things. It was just more disciplined things, like got to block the running back or the tight end or both. Got to make sure I max protect, et cetera, et cetera. Like it was disciplined things. If I wasn't doing that, I was easily getting a second, maybe one and a half to throw the ball. Um, which really just didn't work for the offense that I was really trying to run at that time. So it was frustrating, I would say. Um,
But you gather information in year one in those three, 4, and
we
7
started
point
looking
losses.
we started looking for our answer after the second game, knowing that we weren't going to be able to get it before the playoffs. But regardless, after the playoffs, because it's a divisional person, we were looking then after the second game and the second loss because I felt like the second loss was very achievable for me to win, but we just could not hold on to the ball and not have turnovers. Like it was either I got a good pass off and we could drive, or I was throwing picks and we wasn't putting the drive on the field or eating
Right.
the sack. So it was just one of those type of things. So
But
um
after one off season of you being swept in those three games, you made the changes, necessary changes in the off season.
yeah, starting with Bactari, um
Moving your center
just
out to tackle,
moving the center out the tackle,
getting a superstar at the receiver position.
yeah, going to get Drake London,
Things like that, like the counters, the counter, and the things that
Byron Murphy out of free
yeah,
agency,
motherfucking Adams, Jamal Adams,
Jamal
and
Adams
like so you did a lot
in
of
the
countering.
beginning of the next season. Yeah, Jamal Adams was late. He was a late pickup, but yeah.
But in that counter coming into season two, you took over from season two to season three, sweeps, and which dubs Snake dubbing it the broom game. And you not only got your get back in season two, you doubled it up and got it back in season three too. Take us to season three through the 6 straight losses you gave him and where your mindset was at that point.
At that point, we wanted. I mean, we was trying to. I ain't gonna lie, we was trying to go for his heart. Honestly, at that point, we knew that we lined back up, chance to three-peat. Not just the narrative of the Broom games that was getting placed so heavily on it, but three-peat Super Bowl, big picture, and if you just happen to be in the way, then that's just more of a bittersweet thing. Um, I think seeing us come around that corner at that point, and we had that another season with the week one matchup, it kind of just I think we have a very focused team, a very team that was very driven. Pat's driven on winning, but if everybody knows Pat in real life and real time, he's a guy that likes to have fun. And I think that week one game, it just kind of took him off his high. Like we went out there, we clucked the week one game, and he didn't even really blink about it. We really didn't talk about it, honestly. Nobody really let it below our whole moment of like just doubling up, just because of a lot of those guys that were there had been there from that first off season. Like it wasn't like we really did a lot of extra shit after that first off season move. That those guys got to kind of build relationships. The Jamal Adams, the Bakhtaris before he double bowls and retires. Um, Bringing in Devin White late for the second bowl, he clicks right in and goes along. Um, Byron, Drake London, all of that, and then other draft pieces that came and made early noise. We started Chris Jones at that point holding on. So on 1 year deals, franchise tagging and shit like that. So it was just a very different feeling. I think they just got after it that year three and that year, that second season, whatever. Yeah, the year
How
three.
how important was it to counter his roster, like to understand who you're playing, not the game, not being on the field, and understanding concepts and play calling, and not that, just the counter the roster that you was going to have to maintain after the six games you won back to back, right? To counter that, because you come into the fourth season and he blow you out in Kansas City uh,
Our
before
ring
you before
ceremony,
you
yeah.
before you got to get back on your second Super Bowl ring ceremony. They blew you out in week one, and so talk about the importance of knowing you not knowing the characteristics of your competitor, of your competition on the field, but knowing what to do with your roster off of what he's doing with his.
Um, well, I mean, honestly, I think it was more so the other way around. Like I said, I think being that season one, I was more proactive than reactive to tie in the other argument. I dictated what I didn't do anything the whole season one. I took what his first, they tell you, I took his best punch. I sat there and thought about it and then responded. And I kind of not only threw my best punch back, but I prepared for my counter because I sat there and was patient and took his best punch first. So then I felt like that jump and catapulted me into like the second season to be able to, because the first sweep was like, all right, I got swept by him. Then the first sweep was like, all right, naturally everyone's like, okay, this might be a back and forth thing. Like naturally, that's what the response would be like. All right, the story was okay. The Chargers got him once, the Chiefs got him one. Who gets him? Who gets it again? And I think the moves that we made that first year, Drake London, et cetera, et cetera. I think that set us up to be able to double down and just go back with that same look the second year and kind of see what his response would be. His response was, I felt like it helped, but it just didn't necessarily play out on the field. So it gave us no notion to like, continue to counter. We kind of was in a if it's not broke, don't fix it mentality after that. So then we go into the third season and it was more so we were in the broke don't fix it mentality, so we became less proactive and we're still waiting to be reactive. We're still waiting for the counter because we're cool where we at. I think it was like I said, just us playing that year three again, that season one game. It was just like uh, it was just a blown high moment for a lot of my players, even the coaching staff, myself in general, because it was still just not exactly the fun we were waiting to have after going back to back. I think a lot of people are looking for a certain level of fun.
So let's fast forward to today's current situation with y'all. Y'all played twice in the regular season. You won both of those games. At what point did you start feeling like, not only are we winning this game, we're dominating the game?
Um, I mean, I don't think I stopped feeling like that from the back to backs. Like I said, the one game that we lost since season one, the one game we lost was the week one after the back to back bowls. That was last season. We won those games then. We won the second game in that season, and then we won the playoff game. And then this season, we just swept the division regular season. So I don't think the dominance in our head is stopped. We just had a moment where we just kind of like wasn't on our serious. We wasn't as the most serious moment in the day. It was a bad game overall, but it just was a bad day to be playing the Chargers, honestly. And that type of thing happens when sometimes you can get complacent, or like I said, you're not proactive. You're waiting to be reactive. So I think when we got a little reactive, we kind of just sat on our ass and we kind of took a loss that we, in my eyes, shouldn't have.
All right, so at this stage of this rival, right? You've made comments like there ain't no more boom game conversations over here.
I don't think there should be.
How do you talk about that? How do you see this rival? Current date 2027, season 6. How do you see this rival?
I feel like at this point, I'm not gonna lie, it looks generally similar to like my Panthers situation. It's not a shot at Snake either, if anybody wants to, or Snake will get down here. But I think I lost the division once at my Panthers situation. I got two Super Bowls and dominated the division. I've lost the division once. I have two Super Bowls in the Chiefs, and I've dominated the division. So I wouldn't say that me and Snake don't have a certain rivalry, but I don't even think me and Snake call it a rivalry as much as we just know how to fucking play the game and line up and match up. And we never gonna duck smoke from each other. I think that's where it's kind of like at the narrative, but I don't think me and Snake can go and say we have a rivalry. If anything, our rivalry was more so the off-season moves. We went at it at the off-season like something different.
At this point, is the Chargers Chief, which is our was once, or it could still be our best rival in the league, is it one sided now?
I feel like it is,
Well, I'm
but
asking you the question. I don't have him on to respond yet, but we will give him an opportunity to respond.
I, I feel like it is just outcome based, move based. I think it's definitely been. I feel like it's been one
Is
sided in
this
the offseason moves.
is the spark still there when it comes down to you having to play the Chargers? Is the spark still there that it was once in the beginning?
As a competitor, yeah, but I don't think not as the broom game narrative. I think that ship has sailed in my eyes. As a competitor, I get sparked up to play all competitors, like good games, like competitors, top people that I know it's gonna be a good game.
Let me ask you this question: if we had a chance to run this back in 24, would you run it back and do it again?
Yeah, it don't matter to me. Yeah, I would. I feel like there's no other way. He gonna want his get back. If I was him, and I was in this situation, I would 9 times out of 10 want my get back.
I don't think that's happening. I think the
You
more
would want your
you've
get back,
played,
Fucky.
and I think the more you've played Craig, he's going to have to really like you're locked in on Craig's quick passing game. You're locked in on it. It's evident you're locked in on it, and he's going to have to drastically change his game to be competitive with you. I think in 24 versus him not playing you often, and y'all kind of just play here and there regular season and in the playoffs when it count versus twice a season.
Max, how much of him being in the same division as you would you feel? Would you call it a backfire on the energy of I'm joining the same division as you? Let's go. Do you feel like that played into your hands more than his?
I think it did just because of my ability um to process, watch, and then react to information, whether that be gameplay, plays. your roster moves, your money situation, etc. Like I think that part definitely played into my hands, which is something that could be achieved still in the regular season. I just think, yeah, when you have it twice a season, guaranteed, it puts a different emphasis on it.
All right, so as the playoffs are lined up the way they are right now, if everybody that wins their games that's supposed to win their games, it will be another Chiefs Chargers matchup in the divisional round. Are you are you expecting and looking forward to that matchup? And how do you feel if that comes down to a third time again this year?
Um, Expecting, yes, just because Hoodie hasn't played enough games this season. Even if Hoodie was to jump in right now and play these last four, I don't see it being enough to get it like all the way together with his team. Um, I said, am I expecting? Am I preparing? Yeah, I feel like generally, I just feel like if it happens, I know that it's been what it is for the last three seasons. So not the simple fact it's another game, but it's playoffs because it's playoffs. But like we have to play it with our success rate. We have to play it like it's one of the other games. We just have to know that we're going home if we lose. It's not just another season. I
All
mean,
right,
another
so
gotta wait another week.
final question in the AFC South and the top two teams in, I mean, AFC West and the top two teams in that division. Give me three things, three reasons why you're dominating Craig right now.
Um, Draft.
Without giving up any of your scheme play. Like it could be outside of the game play, like
Oh yeah,
strength
it's all
and
draft, trades, player depth development.
all right, y'all heard it here. And best believe I will be giving the Chargers a follow up interview with the same type of storyline to see how he feels about this. So, Falk, let me ask you this: you heard his three reasons why he feels though he's dominating this matchup. What do you think? Being an outsider looking in the matchup that's not in their division and looking at their teams and rosters and the moves they making, and what do you think is the reason why the Chargers are losing this matchup to the Chiefs?
Oh, the fuck.
You probably slid off. I don't know if he slid off or not. Yeah, yo, fuck.
Oh no, I'm here, fella. Sorry, I hopped on the call real quick, but I'm back. Repeat that again, Ant.
So Max gave us his three reasons why he's dominating the matchup right now, and with the Chiefs and Chargers. I said, without you being inside their division and knowing their rosters or moves and things like that in and out, why do you think the Chiefs are dominating the Chargers?
I think um, I think the biggest thing is adjustments. I think the Chiefs made gameplay and roster adjustments that the Chargers didn't, and the Chiefs was willing to change his style of play defensively, where the Chargers had it kind of like a system. They got a system,
Uh-huh.
and they've yet to change that system to give the Chiefs something else to think about. And the Chiefs are kind of just like locked in on it, and it's just yeah, that's that's it. So I would say adjustments,
Okay.
gameplay as well as roster.
If you're the Chargers and you're in the situation that Craig has currently found himself in, what are two things that would be the most vital things to do to change the outcome that you would do?
Start some player development. I think the Chargers they kind of live in free agency and don't really do a great job. They do an adequate job, but not a great job of just building talent from the ground up. Um, and didn't really like study the gameplay of the Chiefs and try to bring something different to the table that could offset what they doing.
All right, all right. So is the energy around this rival for after watching it go a sweep and then do back to back sweeps and then a regular season win and then 2 wins for the Chiefs and now back to another sweep for the Chiefs? Is this does the rivalry still have its luster?
Nah, the luster's gone. The luster's gone. I don't even want to say, and this sounds crazy because I'm talking about one of the top players in the league. When I say this, but I don't. It's not even a rivalry anymore. It's a regular game. Um, this was the premier rivalry in the league, and now maybe since season three has shifted.
We got a firm 3 seasons left in this league before we go on to the new disc. If you're the Chargers, what could be the one thing that could break you or make you to close out the disc?
Um, I think the Chargers they need to one beat the Chiefs again. They can't lose the rest of the games. So I think they need to get another win. And then they just got to see if any adjustments they can make will that give them some confidence against the Chiefs and keep them in games. Right now, the Chiefs are just dominating the games, man. Like they're not even really close.
There y'all have it, fellas. Again, I will follow up and we will get the word of the mouth of the Chargers coach himself. I will give him a chance to rebuttal everything that was said on this show today. But the Chiefs Chargers are the main course of the AFC West.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
D- Do the Chargers run this back next year?
Um, I think if it's pushed, yeah. I think he'll be forced to if it's made a big issue because
Uh,
here's why I say that. Confidence is a motherfucker, and if you got motherfuckers pushing for that to be that way, and somebody got to answer, yeah, I'm down with it. No, I won't. Like
right.
that's a stain on you. You got to make a decision right there, right? With the whole league looking and trying to figure out is you gonna run it back? What's up? And he say no because the Chiefs gonna say yeah, right? Obviously he's the one winning, so he should say yeah. But the charges is gonna be put on him, and if it's put on you, how do you make a decision? And here's the second part of that. If he wants to play with a certain team, which he's gonna have the right to be able to choose, I don't know if that's going to be more important than running it back for pride. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I will venture to say, and I know the Chargers user is a very competitive, but I don't. The way this is gone, like this, not even like it's not even like okay, all right, Max is winning, some of them, but I'm giving like Max is dominating these.
That would be my fight right there. If I'm the Chargers and I think about the last 6 games that I played the Chiefs, and I'll tally up how I either won or lost those games. If I felt like I was being dominated, the competitor in me will run it back because of that, right?
Right.
I don't want nobody ever to say, I've got guys in the league that I haven't beaten. You're one of them, right? But I don't have that feel of, man, you know what? Fuck that. I'm losing a fuck. I haven't beat him yet. We going in the same division. I don't have that feel. But if I'm the
Right.
Chargers and I'm feeling dominated, like this Chiefs guy is just doing whatever he want on me. He's holding like you got to think about it. Like, I mean, I don't know what happened in the game that they just played, but it sounded like there was some connection issues going on, which didn't finish till the second half. But if you look at what happened in that first half of that game, I mean, and you look over the last 3 games of just looking at those games, Justin Herbert has looked like uh, not being disrespectful as one of our bottom users controlling.
Right. Right.
The score has it's been hard for one of the most high power offenses in the league to even put points on the board in this matchup at this point right now. So I don't know if that's a lock-in thing, busy, whatever. It's a lot of things that can happen to come into the play of this. But when I'm
Or
when
is the
I'm
Chiefs locked in? How about
that's
that?
that's the
Is
thing.
the
That's
Chiefs
the thing.
locked in?
That's the thing. But if I'm the
And the
Chargers, you got to.
Charger refusal to change up.
Yeah. But look, if I'm Craig, bottom line comes down to this. If I'm Craig, you kind of made this bed. If that makes sense. You made this bed. You wanted this. You asked for this. You decided to make sure he comes in the division. Like, not only did he join your division, you chose your team first. He countered it with the Chiefs. Obviously, I would have did the same thing. But you asked for this. This was, if we go back to the receipts of the rival and the game beef that these two have as competitors, you got to go all the way back to Max coming in the league first, Craig coming into the league and being in Max's division, and then things happening from there, right? Like, they started
Right.
to build a friendly rival that turned into a fuck you on the game rival. Not in real life. They are not. They don't like. They do not like each other on some real life shit. It's game based everything with them. But when it comes down to the Chiefs and it comes down to the Chargers, the energy is, I want to. And listen, out of his mouth, he said this: if I play you, Falk, or Max, I'm trying to win that game every time. I don't care where it's at, when it is, first week, 17th week, or playoffs. I want to win that game. That energy alone will have me, if I'm him, will have me trying any and everything to get back on top of this. Like, again, if I know I got 3 seasons left in this matchup, I am not going out being dominated. And if that was to happen, I'm running it the fuck back in 24.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen. I mean,
See, I think people miss out on this part of it. You're talking about two of the top users in the league going at each other. And usually when you got that type of, you know, talent going after each other, it's going to be diverse, right? It's going to be up and down situations. Like, like, this is, I'm telling you, you're not better than me at all. And I'm going to show it repeatedly. And it's almost like Max is trying to put his foot on Craig's neck right now and snap it. The problem is Craig strong enough to get from under that situation and start throwing punches back. So that's where we at right now. Let's just be real. That's where we at right now with this matchup, right? Like, I don't think Max has came out of a game in the last 2 seasons where he was uncomfortable, where it was like, fuck, this is a dog fight, and I gotta, and a play gotta happen for me to win this game. I think their last 2, 3 games. I mean, how many points did the Chargers score on you in the last 3 games?
0, 10, and 10. 0, 17, and 10.
We talking about a team that put 60 on guys, 40 at the. I mean, you just shot it out with him in a high scoring game. This is an offense that's never usually stopped.
but
If you go to just the Chargers themselves and the dominance of what they got, I mean, he's one of the first. He's one of our first users. Let's just call. Let's give him some flowers here at the same time, right? He's one of our first users that we absolutely saw develop a scheme that's damn near unstoppable. No matter how much we talk about it and how simple we make it sound like it is, but that system has him dominating in any league he's in damn near because of that system or how he plays on offense right here.
right,
Just take a look at, this season alone. Titans 48-10, Raiders 70-28, Dolphins 44-20, Ravens 63-35, Lions 56-59 loss. Packers 32-26, and I say this all the time. The Packers offensively kind of play the game the way he played, and that's why they usually get. And he has blown the Packers out. I remember a game where he blown him out and got his quarterback on X Factor for not throwing, having a perfect QBR. But 32-26 in that game, it seemed like when they play each other is always a little bit of, pay attention to, right? And we all have those type of matchups when we play certain guys, right? Browns 35-30. But then you take the Chiefs loss 31-10. This offense haven't scored under 30 points in no game that I just showed going up leading up to the Chiefs game. Comes off of that loss, 83-14, 21-0 the Bears, 28-21 in the fair sim, and then he gets the Chiefs again. And before halftime, the score is 21-0 in a game where his quarterback 23.1 QBR, seven INTs in this game. Now the game was friendly conceded because of connection. He's not home. He's on vacation, so you have to take that into consideration. I don't think this is a usually that a quit game or just like y'all can't you got it, this and that. I think this is the guy that felt as though he was going through some things. But if they finish that game on the pace that it was happening right now, Herbert could have threw double digit INTs against the Chiefs. He's not doing that against nobody he play. That only happens when a guy has mastered what you do. I don't care how many times me and you play. Has there ever been a chance, a game that you mastered what I want to do? I mean, I have to struggle in any game I play, but there's never been a game where, not. I mean, I've had games where it's struggle to score and things are hard. I mean, playing you in the Super Bowl was fucking very hard to play. But I've never had a game where you're not going to know. I can go so far in my play calling that you're not going to better just stagnate me because you know what I do. But you only get this by being in the same division as somebody. Because look, you know what Craig like to do. I know what Craig like to do, and we're not going to better do what Max is doing to him right now because we don't play him enough. So when he play
Right.
you in the 56-59 ball game, he ain't not too much of what he did was any different than what he's going to come play the Chiefs with. He's a system player. But because you
Yeah,
don't
he
play him
jumped
twice a
out. He
season,
jumped out. Yeah, he
right?
jumped
He
out.
had a 21-point lead on you at this point, right?
Yeah. First half, 35-14.
If I play Craig, I'm more likely to either struggle with him and he can do what he do offensively, and it's going to either be a win or a loss in the category. But right now, because he's playing Max twice a season and Max understands what he does offensively, I mean, I think it's to the point not to give up play calling and all that though. But if he made one adjustment, I think he could steal a touchdown on him on a one play tutty.
I agree.
But again, when you look at his score lines right now, he doesn't score under 30 points, 21 points, 30 points a game when he play anybody. And right now, in the last two seasons with the Chiefs, I would say in the last four games with the Chiefs, it's been a struggle to even put points on the board.
Right.
So I think the competitor in him will allow him to actually do what he got to do to fight through it. And he could even be surprising. I mean, he might even have that already. You know what I'm saying? Look, bro. When you are in a situation, either I'm gonna win these two games. If I don't, I'm gonna be the fifth seed and got to see him in the playoffs. I know he's locked in on what I like to do. Maybe I might just save the shit for the playoffs.
Right.
Could you see that in a scenario, Falk?
Yeah, but maybe after the year two of the sweeps, right? So after that, it's like okay, he done swept me twice, 6 games, right? I didn't lost because every year they didn't play pretty much in the playoffs for the most part.
Yep. Every year they play
So
in the divisional
they
round.
played the first 3 years. They played 9 times, right? So once Max won them 6 in a row, then I think Craig came back and won the next game, and then Max has won the last three. I could be on off depending on the playoffs. Um, but after that 6, I'm doing that. I'm
Hmm.
not letting it get to now and be like, because now it's then lost its luster. If that makes sense.
What would Craig have to do to turn the tides and bring the luster back to this rival in the last three seasons that we have?
Just start with a win. Start with a win and build on it.
I agree.
Like
I
he
agree
don't
a
even
hundred
he
percent.
don't even gotta have postseason success no more. If he just beat Max, let's say 2 straight times. So let's say they play in the playoffs and then he beat him, week 1 the next year. Okay, now you're getting the attention of folks. Cause now
Right.
Max got to pay attention to you. Max got to, he can, but yeah, I would say that's what he got to do.
I think the fight is still in the user we have. You can't. You're not a top user in this league. That ain't going. The get back is in his blood, in his heart. He has to have that in him. I don't think he's a lay down type guy. And
Same here.
I don't think the story is completely written yet. I think we got more to it, and I think that's what make our fucking league what it is because you have these storylines and damn near a lot of divisions in our league. Let's start. Let's go to the NFC North and let's talk about these lines. Y'all took your first loss. Like, talk to me about that, y'all. Come off a Super Bowl win. Your team flying high. You feel like at this point your team is what it is. The pieces are there. You have the guys in spots. You have your dogs, your super dogs, your dogs, and the guys that you're still bringing up now to help you out later on in line, like matchups in the fourth receiver versus the fourth corner. Yeah, extra pass rusher that you can use as a run stopper or whatever the case may be. Like your team, it's your team now. Like the
Yeah.
Lions are at their best right now. And coming off that Super Bowl win and taking all the way to Week 13 to get your first loss, is it glad we got this loss out the way now? But how do you feel about this roster and where the Lions are at this point right now?
Um, I feel good about the team. Like, obviously, you don't like to lose today how we lost. But there's some things we gotta clean up, man. Some things we gotta clean up. Shout out to the Rams. There's no excuse. Anything I can say right now, they just came and they were the better team today. But you can't have 5 turnovers. You cannot be ready for um, you gotta be ready for everything. So whether they're quick hiking or whatever they're doing, it's within the realm of the game, and they were prepared, they were ready, and we just gotta play better. When it count. Trey Palmer looked like absolutely the best receiver in the game today. Didn't matter what we threw at him. Um, we just couldn't stay with him. It wasn't just launch pads, even though a few of them was. It was just he was doing what he wanted. Um, Richards was he was clean for the most part. Their O line did a great job. All those draft picks for linemen finally working out for them. Um, and they were the better team today. Um, and if we want to go back to the Super Bowl, we're gonna have to go through them, and that's what you want. So we don't put a lot of stock in the loss today. It was a ball game for the most part, but you can't have 5 turnovers against that type of opponent and expect to, you know, win. Um, so that's what we take from it. But our team, we're ready, man. It's the team I put together. There's really no holes, um, and we needed this loss. I don't want to say you ever need a loss, but like you said, if you wanna have one, get it out the way now. So hopefully this will refocus us, and we got 4 games left, and then we got hopefully 4 in the playoffs.
Let's talk
Or
about Drake
who
May
knows in the
for a
Super Bowl.
second. You have developed Drake May into like unarguably the best quarterback in the league. Let's talk about it like that right now.
Hmm.
Um, you drafted Drake May in the second round a few years back. He's fighting for a contract right now, and the leverage is his. Right after winning the Super Bowl, he has the leverage.
You're gonna get franchise. You're going to get franchise, unfortunately.
And the talk around that franchise is he'll hold out and won't play, won't step on the field for you. Um, and we're going to get to that right now. Drake May, what's his mindset right now? Like, how do you get a guy to stay with the same focus, knowing that he feels as though he should be paid and paid as the highest paid quarterback in the league, and yet he's in the middle of a battle to get back to another Super Bowl to win back to back in this fight over a contract right now. How do you tell me how is this focus, And as a coach, how do you keep him focused on the games itself and not, his life, which is, you know,
Well, the one
establishing
thing
for
is,
generational wealth.
is why we drafted him is his character, right? He
Mm,
has high character, um, highly competitive, and he has the ability to separate things, right?
mm-hmm.
To put things in their perspective and in a box. And he loves his teammates. He loves his coaches. And whatever he's going through with the front office right now, he knows how to separate that with his teammates. He comes to practice every day. He's the first one there, first one out. He's not going to cheat the game. That's why we drafted him. He's not going to cheat the game. Whether he's the highest paid quarterback or the lowest paid quarterback, he's not going to cheat the game. So even though his agent himself in the front office hasn't worked out a deal and it's looking like he's going to get franchised or hold out, whatever it is, he hasn't showed it in the facility amongst his teammates and coaches. He's still the Drake May that won the MVP. He's still the Drake May that won the Super Bowl. He's still the Drake May that you know, came in and lost year one, and the next day was right back at the facility. When they lost in the Super Bowl, he's back in the facility the next day working out. He's that same guy, and we have no worries there.
So how much does that attitude rub off on a remainder 52 players on that roster?
I mean, it's tremendous, man. If it's not for Drake May, we don't have the success we've had. Um, he again going back to what we said about the Dolphins earlier. At certain positions, you just gotta have a guy. You gotta have that guy at that position,
Okay.
and he's been that for us, man. He's really been that for us, and everybody follows suit, man. This is not it's not a throw he can't make. But even when he has a game like today, man, you know what he said in the locker room? He was like, "Fellas, that's on me. Can't turn the ball over that much. I gotta make better reads. I gotta make better decisions." He took the onus. It's a third year guy. He's in there with vets, the H&H brothers. He's in there and he's saying today was on me, fellas. Won't happen again. Just Tebow esque.
If you had to model his game behind one of the great quarterbacks of all time, who would you say he plays like?
Uh, I would say he's like a he's accurate like a Joe Montana. He has the mind of a Peyton Manning. But if you put all that together, I would best say he's like Tom Brady later in his career. Not the beginning of Tom Brady. Like this is Tom Brady 14, 15, 16 Patriots. This is late 30s Tom. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When they had Revis and them boys. Like he's like him, but with weapons. With a young Randy Moss. So just imagine that Tom Brady with a young Randy Moss.
He reminds me more of, and hear me out. He reminds me of Steve Young more than anybody else.
Yeah, yeah. He just don't run enough for me with Steve how Steve ran. And Steve was I mean Steve could have played in any system in my opinion, but Steve was a more of a precision. The offense was, West Coast. You know what I mean? Like you
Mm-hmm.
didn't see Drake May come out and empty, and he will surgically go downfield. It's not a throw he could make. You know what I mean? Steve Young, I don't really see too many. I mean, he did it, but I ain't see him like bombs away.
Right,
Drake May could look like Will Levis, or he could look like Hendon Hooker,
right.
or he could look like her. Like he could look like so many, depending on what you give him he could be that. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why I think separates him, Shador Richards. As the next, as that crop of quarterbacks.
Right.
Like, those three can play multiple styles.
All right. And a lot of when you talk about the Lions, let me ask you this: most people are going to talk about the Lions' offense. But give me two reasons why they should be talking about your defense.
I think we sold up some things in the back end. I think that was a weakness. I think we've always had a great D line. But I think people don't realize how important Drew Sanders is and how the first draft of me selecting with my two late first round picks, Drew Sanders and Breeze, has really brought that defense together. And then we've been able to fill in around it. But if you look at it, we already had the H and H brothers. We had those guys, and then Breeze gave you that dominant defensive tackle, and then Sanders gave you that sideline linebacker that don't get off the field, no matter what you in.
All right.
He don't come off the field. There's no subbing. He is the sub linebacker. You know what I mean? Like
Uh huh.
he is the sub. He doesn't have to be a safety. So I think that, and then with our secondary, Malachi Nelson coming into one of the better safeties in the league last playoff. I think he had 6 picks in 2 games, um, 3 touchdown returns, something like that. I think the corners, steady veteran play from Henderson and Phillips, and then we got the diaper dandy. You know, not a diaper dandy anymore, and SL. Um,
You
you know,
drafted Malachi as a top 10 pick at cornerback. What
yeah.
was the decision, and when did you decide that that had to be the decision to move him to become one of the better safeties in this league?
Well, once we got better play from Henderson, Henderson started to play better. And then we just needed somebody with range back there with just the launch pad. To be honest with you, man, his skill set was better to play middle of the field and hopefully get under the launch pads versus being, a corner, man. It's just the way the game is, and to have a ball hawk back there, and you saw it the playoffs. You
Mm-hmm.
saw it. Like not for nothing. Even playing T today, he made sure he didn't throw the 13. Like T wasn't throwing over across the middle. These were strategic launch pads, out route, flag routes. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
Uh-huh.
he wasn't throwing across that middle. He wasn't. You know what I mean? Because 13 was there. And 13 basically single handedly beat him last year.
Right.
Um, and you saw that. So you know, um, yeah, I would say our secondary is going to be the second reason. Drew Sanders and them will be second reasons why we will repeat or we won't.
All right. So let's go back to the front four of your defense. All right. The Double H brothers, Brian Breezy. But then y'all bring in Colorado's slash edge rusher outside linebacker, and y'all go trade for Nicholas Harbor. What does that give you in your mind when it ranked amongst the league as a front four? What was the structure of that? First, getting the trade of Nicholas Harbor, bringing in Austin um, from Colorado, and having the multiple different style of players on your front four like that.
Well, really just to give us versatility, man. Like bringing in Nicholas Harbor with the HH boys and Breeze, it was really like, all right, look, listen, we don't like to be a blitzing team. We don't want to have to blitz and leave our secondary who's still developing back there on the island, and we could just rush 4 and drop 7 or 8 in the coverage. And that's been the game plan. Like we probably the least most blitzing team in the league. And those guys just produce at a higher level. I mean, the production is down because guys O line have gotten better, and they're throwing the ball quicker, precise. They're checking down. So we haven't been able to get sacks, but if you look at the pressure, you look at the production, that D line is, bar none the best in the league. And I think a lot of people would agree with that.
I think when you have guys with double digit sacks amongst the entire four, right? You talk
Yeah.
about the Houston brothers and their growth from season one to where they are right now, and then the phase, the fuse. Breezy in the middle and being able to, use Nicholas Harbor as an edge rusher or even inside, sometimes even out of the linebacker, and then bringing the Colorado linebacker down and putting his hand in the dirt as well. Like, what was the fuse there, and why was that important when most guys will settle for, the superstars or the X factors and they're just the first four players, but you made sure you had multiple guys so you could take guys out, bring guys in. Like, why was that so important in the glue of gelling this defense together?
Well, the biggest one of the big things is having being able to throw different looks, right? We like to pride ourselves on being able to give you different fronts and formats. Like again, I go to the game I played today. We saw a three down line. We saw a dollar the whole game.
Right.
And again that works for that user. They're successful with it. But we want to give you 4.6. We want to give you 4.4. We want to give you double barrel. We want to give you quarters. Sometimes we want to just give you everything. Pressure looks back. Prevent look, like whatever it is, whatever it calls for. We want to be able to mix and match and have you always thinking, just like we have you thinking on when we're on offense. We want to do the same defensively, and for us, having guys that can fit multiple things and you not know where the pressure's coming from, right? Sometimes we might drop Hutchinson in the, go look at his stats. He got a couple picks. We might drop Houston in the coverage. He got a couple picks. And then we bring the outside linebackers, just to give us a little mix. Um, because again, like I said, the O lines are getting better. And the pressure straight up is not what it was. So now we just gotta be creative, a la Dick LeBeau, and still getting pressure without just leaving our guys on the island in this launch pad era. I like to call this era the launch pad era,
Right.
where guys can play man and just they don't really play man. They just let guys run right by them.
Before I talk about the rest of your division in a sense, talk about why. Let's just keep it one. All right, right. When you got guys that say, fuck it, live by the sword, die by the sword. When it comes down to the launch pad, why is the launch pad? Why do we look at the launch pad as a negative? Like, we don't look at that as, you just throwing the ball deep. We can't stop it. Like, you got a vertical attack, nobody can stop. Why is it frowned upon more than accepted?
because a player can, football, you look at percentages, right? So a good completion percentage is 66 to 70%, right? 70 is like on the high end, right? And you look at around the league and you got guys that are, that might go 18 for 25, right? Or 20 for 30, right? Good, that's a good game. Like, you know what I'm saying? But then you got guys going 5 for 24, 8 for 26, 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, and they win the game. And you look at that and you're like, hold on. So you mean tell me they have 4 jet sweeps, they have 4 go routes, and they won? How? Like that's the thing. You only got to be right with the launch pad a couple times a game.
Here's my
Where some,
problem with it. Not to cut you off, but here's my problem with it. It's the simplest answer to being real with yourself. It's only a video game play. It's a glitch. It's not a football play. Like, it's not your man pressed me, my guy ran by you. It's not my guy was looking at the
it's just
corner route coming.
slower than your guy. Yeah.
What it is this is the perception of why I hate it and don't like it and don't really respect it. It is what it is. I'll embrace it at times, but I can go a whole game without even trying it once, right? But here's the thing: if in real life I put my corners at 7 yards off of your guy and you just running a vertical, right? We've seen Tyreek Hill run past that. I respect that, right? But the problem is, if you look at why the launch pad works, is not because of your speed threshold is just faster than mine. What it is it's two things. It's what I got my settings on, one. And the second thing is it's a glitch because it's thrown strategically. It's not thrown where you got we talk about the Browns and his 50-50. Throw it even if it's guy covered and go fight for the football, or how Snake does it with Quentin. This is your guy is going to glitch out, and you can watch it. If I break this play down on video, I can break it down and show you what I'm talking about. Your corner going to glitch, and when he glitch, I'm going to throw the ball. And that's that, right?
Right.
Now, I think you missing one of the key things you said about a launch pad. Every quarterback in the league, no matter what their arm throw power strength is, can throw the ball 70, 80 yards down the field with this so-called mechanic, right? Now, the form throwing helps it, right? But just think about what I'm saying right now. I can back my corner back up to 15 yards
And he's
and
still gonna run
and he's
around.
still gonna get ran by, right? Because at some point he's gonna stop and turn around. And at that turnaround point, you're losing that battle right there, right? To me it's a glitch. Now, it's part of the game. It is what it is. But like I just wanna emphasize why it's frowned upon versus, celebrated. And the frowned upon part about it is in real life, if you came out in the ball game and you sent verticals on every play, the defense is more likely to stop that than not.
Yep.
They will be able
Well,
to
and
adjust to
and
that
and every quarterback ain't throwing it 70 yards in the air.
80 yards in the air. Now, some guys got the arm power to do it, so be it. I respect that. And then we're not going to, we'll talk our shit about it, but we're also going to talk about the Will Levises of the league you know, who's having a great year right now, right? Like, we're not going to discredit his season and what he's doing because that's how they play the game. But the problem is, it's a glitch. It's not real life football. So I don't want to, like, me personally, just my opinion. I don't want to hear somebody tell me, yeah, my offense is just da da da. I don't want to hear that, like, because if you take the glitch part out of that, which is watch the DBs and why this shit happens to you. If you take that part out, like all a guy got to do is high pass that football and tap the button lightly and put air under it, and you're running under it. Without a Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle, without guys of that
That's the
caliber of
thing.
speed, doesn't
These
matter.
guys to be regular, like they don't even be blazing.
And then you can do it. Your guy can be. This the thing. Here's the test of that. You can do it with a 94 speed receiver, and my corner can have 99 speed, and you can get that. If you throw 8 of them, you're gonna catch 6 of them. If I don't put no over the top help and just let my corner sit at 15 yards off your guy and put him in 3, 4, or 1, he will still get ran by 6 out of the 8 times. So when you guys hear is like, talking shit about it and all that, this is the reason why. Like, again, it's a video game, and you better play video game football and real life football. You better mesh the two to be great in this game because it is a video game. So again, that's the only part of it that I respect. But when you're thinking about real football and that type of shit just doesn't make sense to me. That's you're glitching the game, right? You're glitching the game out. Period. Like, what if I decided to do the the quarterback glitch? Like, think about that. Just think about that. If I decided, all right, it's 2nd and 15, I'm gonna glitch your entire defense out every third down and do the quarterback glitch where your guys won't move and I can run all the way up the field for a touchdown no matter what you do if I get the glitch off. What's different with the launch pad glitch?
Right?
Like, if I played the Saints right now and I did the quarterback glitch every time I needed a big play, would he feel the way I feel about the launch pad?
Probably not.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, would he embrace that and say, "Damn, bro, that shit crazy. I couldn't stop that shit." Like, the quarterback got like if my quarterback rushed for 600 yards a game because I can start on the 1 yard line and give him 6 carries for 99 yards, and you can't stop that no matter what you try to do. I can glitch you out and run right up the middle of the field, and none of your players will tackle me 6 times a game. How would you feel if I did that to you, for?
I'll be like the answer though.
So I think that's my way of explaining the launch pad glitch, where that's to me, my opinion only. Granted, it's my opinion, but if I did that to you, it's the exact same thing of throwing the ball. You throw 20 passes, 16 of them are just straight vertical routes, and you come down with four of them, or I just hike the ball, do the glitch, and take off with my quarterback, and I do that 6 times a game.
Yeah,
The guys
which
that do it will have a problem the same way we have a problem with guys that do it to us with the launch pad. They will have a problem if I did the quarterback glitch. And you saw me show that glitch before. Like, this is the glitch, boom, this is what
yeah,
happened, right? If I did that to you 6 times a game, you probably wouldn't even finish the game. The second time I do it, you won't finish the game. What the fuck? That's bullshit. Man, I'm not playing this shit. I'm just giving you the feeling of the guys that don't like the launch pads, the guys that look at launch pads, because you do got to separate a woo baby from a launch pad. That's
yeah,
why we gave it its own name. Now, if it was, if it's just the way I feel about it. That's my opinion. That's all. But with that being said, float your boat, right? Because you got, again, live by the sword, die by the sword. Simple as that, right? Now with that being said, let's move on and get this. The show is doing good right now. I know All right, so Falk, last thing in your division, I'm not going to go individually and talk about the teams in your division. What I will ask you is this: Vikings, Bears, Packers. Out of the three teams in your division with you, what team impresses you the most in your two matchups this season with?
the Bears. I have to say the Bears. Yeah, he had, his record don't show it right now, but I think out of all of them, he's progressed the best. I think the Packers started off with a buzz, but then he kind of faded a little bit. I think Drew, he is always in the mix, but then he fades out. But I think the Bears, from where he started, is playing the best football in my opinion, or at least what me he is. I can't.
Well, that was the question. Who impresses you the most?
Yeah,
All right. All right. So, like, I'll take a look at Drew. I think Drew's storyline from last year to now is impressive. I mean, Dallas Turner is one of the best sack guys in the league, and this is at the stage where everybody got guys that can block it now, right? So I think that's impressive, and I love what he redid with his offense. So I like that. I like what's going on there. I think the Bears still don't have one of the better teams, and some of the improvements he made and the things he's doing tells you really how good he actually really is at playing the game. I think if he spent a little bit more time with the GM game and getting the right things on the field and the right abilities and shit, I think he'll even be. It would reflect tenfold what the Bears are at this point right now. You look at the NFC South. Saints are 12-0 this year. I think it's a damn, you balling this year. Like, you got to say that, right? Like, you got to be like, okay,
oh
like,
for
you
sure,
balling
for
this year,
sure.
right? And I think he would
He's
say
balling
this.
without a doubt.
The stigma around him is, okay, we've seen you have great records. We've seen you, confident. We've seen you win and post memes in the chat after you win and all that. But I think it comes down to one thing with you. What are you going to do in the playoffs?
Yeah, agreed.
Is this the year that Brandon surprises us in the playoffs? Because with the gamble of vertical threat that he has, again, do you think that raises the chances of him being successful in the playoffs?
It's almost like NBA basketball. You know how during a regular season, it's up and down and points is up, and then playoffs come and the defense get a little more focused, it get a little more tight, and you see them teams that have a lot of regular season success kind of fade off, or their production offensively tapers off. The question is, can Brandon play a different style come playoffs and still be successful? And right now, he hasn't proved that yet.
So I think it's a lot more on the line for him at 12-0 this year than being 12-0. Like finishing the regular season as the number one seed, it would be great. Everybody got to come to New Orleans. It's to me, it's what can you do in the playoffs, right? Matchups matter. Like as good as his gamble of throwing a vertical game, and he understands that. I mean, he said it to me. We're gonna live or die by it. Bottom line, I'm a receiver. You know that. I do know that. And he's a fast receiver in real life. And that's his game. That's what he said. I was a vertical running receiver. That's what we do. But even in real life, if you running verticals, if they threw 10 to you, did you catch 5 of them for touchdowns?
Yeah, yeah,
The matchup is going to be this. Everybody has a has kryptonite, right? And it seems like the Philadelphia Eagles has been the Saints' kryptonite. So whatever happens in that game against the Eagles, regular season or playoffs, whatever he does, he hasn't been right. He's been wrong, right? So in his gamble of taking those deep shots, it hasn't been successful against the Eagles. So is it going to be a matchup thing if the Eagles get in the playoffs as the fourth seed? Would it be a matchup thing that sends him home, or would the gamble of being a vertical throwing team, will he be right 3 times? Right, he's going to have to be right 3 times. If he has the first seed, he's going to have to be right in the divisional round, right in the NFC Championship, and then right in the Super Bowl. So he has to be right 3 times in 3 games. With the percentage of how he plays the game, is that possible? Because me, I think it is.
right.
If you look at the number 2 team in this division and look at the points that they're scoring right now with their style of play, because they play similar. I think the Bucks will do a little bit more in the passing game than just verticals and jet sweeps, right? The Bucks will use that form throwing for a lot more. But look at it, 649 and 592. They're both scoring high amount of points per game right now, as the 1 and 2 seeds in the NFC South right now. Panthers are sitting at 3 with a 7. They're 1 game above 500 right now, and they're holding on. I think with their sophomore quarterback and Arch Manning, they're going through that sophomore slump with the quarterback, but they're still holding on, right? I think the problem with the Panthers are when you look at what they're doing offensively, 461 points scored. I don't think the Panthers have ever given up this many points defensively, though. 437 points. Usually they're amongst the top when it comes down to defense. I think we think, oh, sophomore quarterback, sophomore slump, that what's going on. I think schedule and then the points they're giving up on defense right now is the reason why they don't have the Division One right at this moment, like they have over previous years right now. And with the Falcons they just been an up and down team. They got the roster that should win this division at times, but I think they up and down. I think they can win a big game. They can lose games that they're not supposed to. And I think they just got to get a hold on that. When you look at the NFC East, I think honestly, outside of the Giants right now, this is the most intriguing division in our league right now. The top 3 teams over here are 6 and 7: Commanders, Eagles, and Cowboys. And having that been the story for the most part over the last 3 seasons, with the Eagles dominating this division and winning it every year, the fact that they are in a dogfight with 4 games left, how do you feel about that?
I think they didn't let the Eagles back up in the game. I think the
Mm-hmm.
Eagles was ready for the drive. I think the Commanders started off slow, but then won like 6 in a row, 5 in a row, and it looked like they was going to kind of put a lock hold on it. And now I think they didn't give the Eagles hope.
With that
It's
being
gonna be
said,
interesting to see. Yeah, it's gonna be
the
interesting to see.
the Cowboys are written off the entire time, and they are in the mix right now. They're right back in the
Right.
mix. 6 and 7, 6 and 7, six and
They
seven.
definitely gave us something to talk about. So shout out to them.
Uh huh.
Yeah, they definitely gave us something to talk about. And actually looking at the score, man, the 49ers beat the Commanders. So now the Commanders 6 and 7, and they're tied. They tied for first with the Eagles and the Cowboys. They're all 6 and 7.
Uh huh. And then not for nothing, when you look at the three teams that are in the mix right now for this division, I'm gonna just go to schedule and like I'll just go to the Commanders schedule first. I don't have to go to everybody's schedule because the games. Right, I think just talking with the Commanders, even though he dropped a game in the 49ers game that he wasn't expected to drop because we didn't even know if the 49ers would play that game or not. I thought that would be a forced win, to be honest with you, right? But now he got one more tough game, right, before he gets back into division play. He got the Patriots and Hoodie, and again, this is a win if Hoodie can't get his shit right. But after that, he plays the Eagles, the Giants, and the Cowboys. So being 6-7 right now, and all three of those teams having the same record, the fate is in their matchups. They all play each other. I don't think
Right.
maybe the Cowboys played the Eagles twice already. I don't know, but coming down the stretch, nope. Yeah, the Cowboys. Nah, they got one more again. In fact, at advance, the Cowboys and Eagles are on the line, and this is Mike's opportunity right now to take the lead on this division, with the Eagles having the Cowboys and the Commanders having the Patriots.
Mm.
Now, the hard part about that is Mike has the Jets. That could possibly be a forced win, depending on right at this point. But then he plays the Chargers, and then he got to play the Commanders. So if you're really looking at the last four games of his, he's going to have to win three out of the four, in my opinion, or two out of the four. If he could beat the Eagles and Commanders, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. Don't matter.
And then you come down to the Eagles' last four games, and they got the Cowboys, Commanders, Saints, and Patriots. Like the Eagles' schedule is tormenting to come down the stretch because no matter how much you dominated the division, you still got two teams that have the same record as you, and you have right away, week 15 and 16, the Eagles can separate himself right there just by winning those two games. This is why he was in the comment section talking about, yeah, the Commander's my boy. You shitting, yeah, y'all shitting, because he understood that he played the Cowboys, which he's dominated, and the Commanders, which he's dominated. So, in the Eagles' eyes right now, I beat them two guys, no matter what happens in the Saints. And then again, the Saints haven't beaten the Eagles, I don't think at all.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
then you got Hoodie at the end. We don't know what we're gonna get with Hoodie as far as why his games won't finish. So so the Eagles literally can finish this thing on a 4-game winning streak and finish 10-7. Or will the Cowboys and Commanders rise to the occasion and knock the Eagles? One of those guys beat them is a wrap.
I mean, right now they want to show me until it's been the Eagles division, man. Right
And now
now,
you
somebody
see,
want to
but now you see
rise
why
up.
this is the most intriguing division we have right now. Like at 6-7, we're talking about the NFC East as the most intriguing division we have right now, where the Cowboys Commanders play the Eagles week 15 and 16, and that's going to determine a whole lot between those three tied teams at 6-7.
Right.
If you look at the Saints and their 12-0 run right now, I mean, the Eagles are the one team. If I'm the Saints, no matter what's happening through the rest of the games, that's the game I gotta win.
Yeah, yeah. The Saints got to win that game, man. Just for pride purposes, the Eagles have dominated them. Um, the Saints got to win that game, man.
Yeah, they gotta win that thing for pride. All right, so when you take a look at this, the remaining schedule, it's still going to come down to week 18, week 17 as who's who. And just because we have to, we're not going to not talk about every division without giving the NFC West their flowers right now. Now, the Rams have kind of dominated the division. We had a little bit of here and there with the old Seahawks user. Now we got a new Seahawks user right now. And I'm hearing good things about this new Seahawks user, that he could play the game. But the Ray is back at 8-5. He just won 2 games in a row, which is huge for him to continue his run to these playoffs. But when you look at this division, it's the Rams division at this point right now, 13-0. And the Rams are looking to go get that first seed right now, so they could be sitting in LA for all their playoff games. But this division is dominated by the Rams. We do have a new coach, so we will like to see what happens with a full season under that coach's belt. And then we want to see, what happens with the 49ers. Are they going to continue to grow? in this division right now. All right, fellas, that's our show tonight, man. I appreciate all y'all that stuck it out with
Hit
us
the
and
lead.
rolled
I
it
don't know
out.
what's going on with the
Yeah, let's
Saints and
go.
Titans.
Let's go. They ain't play
Hit it.
yet.
They got 3 by their names, so I don't know what's going on, but hit
Shit
that shit.
dropping like a motherfucker over there. You better say something.
Man, listen, hit it.
Patriots, Jets, Packers, Bears. All right, so that's a 50-50. Bills, Giants, probably a 50-50. Broncos,
5 minutes
Chargers.
left.
Chargers get the win. They got 5 minutes left in their game. Titans, Saints on their
Okay.
third. All right, so they got. All right, so
Yes.
Brandon, make sure you hit me, DM me, and let me know when that game's over. All right, so I need to find out Hoodie and Onk situation. Let's see if they anybody DM me.
That nigga Rob said Henny in his cup. Ha
Henny,
ha.
yes, he did. Henny in my cup.
Oh, y'all done let that motherfucker back in the game. Y'all done let that motherfucker. Oh my god.
You know he back.
Y'all done let Rob back in the building.
All right,
Mm-mm-mm.
fellas. The next time we come back on the show, we will show some stats and awards and things like that. Other than that, I'll holler at y'all when we holler at y'all. You heard?
Easy.